Chair COG is watching these proceedings from the comfort of our office, I'm telling you, shame on you, Ann Waiguru. Shame on you. And your group of vipers, the way Jesus Christ told the Pharisees.
That means I'm suggesting this meeting cannot go on without COG and all other important stakeholders.
So when representatives of ministries come here and tell us, oh, somebody is finishing milking her cows, she will come back after she has fed the cows. I mean, that is absolute contempt. Are we supposed to sit somewhere in a corner and wait for them to finish? No, Chairman, let me speak.
Just allow me, you know, that's why there is a chair for a meeting, Senator Sifuna. And this being a house of record, I didn't hear anybody from the ministry saying somebody was finishing milking their cows.
You should issue a communique to all the private hospitals, not to attend to all these governors and members of their families, till we find a solution to this problem.
And I want to also join Omugeni in saying shame on you, Madam Waiguru, shame on you, Governor for Tharaka Nithi, shame on you for the 7 bunch of arrogant governors across this country.
I concur with the sentiments of my colleague that we need to summon each and every one of these individuals. And as we do so, I think it's about time that we now deal with this issue of this Council of Governors Secretariat being an illegal entity.
And therefore, Chair, I concur with my colleagues that now they are not invited, they are summoned. And I'm saying here, when all Kenyans are hearing,
we can have a direction in view of the attendance that we have here. One of our key stakeholders, the county government, is missing, and also the National Treasury is missing. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Chair, maybe we need to hear from members.
Can I go first?
Senator Wino. Sorry, Honorable Wino.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Kenya is in crisis, and people are dying en masse, even from diseases which could have been intervened by our people who are now on strike. For example, there I'm losing over 10 people a day, mothers and children. And Chair, it appears to me that perhaps the previous failures of these meetings is that it's not taken seriously. That's why meetings have been aborted. I could not imagine that COG could fail to attend such a meeting. Perhaps we need to interrogate our constitution, whether COG exists legally or is just a mere club. Number 2, the Ministry of Labor and Treasury with junior representation. Chair, how would you attend meetings in World Bank when your house is on fire? And all the excuses that we have had in these apologies, how can that be? So my submission, Chair, is that Parliament is the highest apex, is the highest institution on this land, and Kenyans are looking upon us to have some reprieve, to have some solution to them, to their crisis. And if Parliament is not respected, we have in our standing orders, Chair, that we should invoke. Number 1, to summon those who have not attended. That means I'm suggesting this meeting cannot go on without COG and all other important stakeholders, and put them on summon as soon as possible, as our standing order says, so that we have all the players on table and come up with a resolution to save the lives of Kenyans. So, Chair, I suggest we stand this down and evoke our summons so that we have a full house that can make a resolution that abides and can help Kenyans. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I've looked at the invitation that went out, and these were the persons who were invited, and I've not seen any of them here. The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, the Chairperson, Council of Governors, the Chairperson, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the Chairperson, Public Service, The Secretary General, Kenya Medical Practitioner and Dentist Union, I think I've seen that person here. The Secretary General, Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, I believe I've seen that person here. The Secretary General, Kenya National Union of Medical Laboratory Officers, I believe there was a gentleman who introduced himself. And Mr. Chairman, this parliament, by the time a matter comes here, it means that there's a crisis in this country. This is a parliament that controls, that has got the power of the purse. When there is a crisis, it seems that the executive has failed in solving this crisis. Mr. Chairman, I've seen a letter written by a lady by the name of Mary Mwiti, Chief Executive Officer of the Council of Governors, which that secretariat in itself is an illegal entity, because that secretariat need to be domiciled at the ITGRC. You know, whenever we have historical injustices and nothing seems to be done to resolve them, we continue completely being in contempt. Mr. Chairman, what these entities have shown to Parliament is contempt. And we've got the powers. If you read Article 125, read together with Article 153.3, Cabinet Secretary shall attend, not may attend, shall attend to the committees of either House. Today, Mr. Chairman, the committees of both National Assembly and the Senate are seated here to be able to resolve this crisis. Yet, we are being shown contempt. I've heard my good friends, the PS, saying that the Cabinet Secretary of Health is in another function when this country is bleeding, when people are dying, when hospitals are closed. The Council of Governors, who are busy running around, agreeing to everything they are being told by the executive, and that they know that health is devolved and their hospitals are closed, are not here. The chairperson of SRC, who was involved herself in the matter, that there is a CBA which was agreed upon, is not here. Mr. Chairman, we cannot continue, entertaining such contempt. I concur with the sentiments of my colleague that we need to summon each and every one of these individuals. And as we do so, I think it's about time that we now deal with this issue of this Council of Governors Secretariat being an illegal entity. Because I think if it was domiciled at the ITGRC where the law mandates it to be there, I think they would have taken this matter seriously and be able to come in here. So to be able to save Kenyans and to stop, going dilly-dallying and going around this issue, not knowing what is happening, we must have Treasury here to tell us where the money is. We are the House that have the power of the purse. We are the ones who are now discussing the division of revenue bill. If there is a CBA that had already been agreed upon, why is it not implemented? So, Mr. Chairman, my view is as follows. This meeting cannot continue. Those governors, the Council of Governors, including even the chair of health of the Council of Governors, who is not here, must be summoned to be able to come here and give the way forward. A matter cannot come to this House and we continue playing politics on it. If these stakeholders who were invited were serious, they would have been here to be able to resolve this crisis. So for once, Mr. Chairman, let us summon all these people within 7 days, and all of them must be here. If they are not here, Article 125 gives us the powers to compel that witness to be arrested and to be brought here to be able to deal with this matter once and for all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Honorable members, I've seen a member of parliament have just walked in. Maybe they can go on record. Honorable Kiborek.
Kiborek Ruben, member of parliament, Magoti, and a member of the health committee. Thank you.
Principal Clerk, also.
My name is Stephen Gekonyo, Principal Clerk to the Committee of Senate Health. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Chair. All the substantive offices from the executive that have been invited by Parliament have not turned up. They have actually sent representatives. As my colleagues have said, not all the meetings they have attended are as critical as what is happening in the country. When this strike started, and people were talking numbers about 2 weeks ago, we were told 2-3 weeks ago, 500 people have died. I do not know whether anybody is keeping records, but I'm sure more are dying. At least I know 3 that have died, and I know 1 that came and nearly died in my house, having gone all over looking for health services. So these officers who are not attending this important meeting are actually the cause of the deaths of these Kenyans. It is a lack of understanding of what our responsibilities and mandates are. If these people are dying from fire, from a flood, or from road accidents, or from air crashes, all these people, their mandates would be there, showing that they are concerned. But because these people are dying in their houses, they are not concerned. At this level, people are expected to understand what is the meaning of a decision they made in a meeting to a person in a distant village, without seeing photographs of those deaths. In my view, they have actually caused the deaths of Kenyans and let Kenyans down. The Council of Governors represents the governors, the 47 of them. They are the employers of the largest number of health workers. And the strike affects their functions or their services more than any other person. None of them has appeared here. The country must hold them accountable for that. Treasury pays everybody. Everybody. They needed to be here. Even if we were to reach a decision, who are the 2 entities that would be most critical in this? The Treasury, what have we been told? There is no money, isn't it? Who tells us whether there is money or no money? It's the Treasury. If there was money, who is to pay them? To a large extent, the council, the governors, then therefore the Council of Governors. In my mind, those people are so key that we cannot really have a meeting, even if we agree. Where will that agreement go? And therefore, Chair, I concur with my colleagues that now they are not invited, they are summoned. And I'm saying here, when all Kenyans are hearing, when we call cabinet secretary, we call cabinet secretaries. We are not calling permanent secretaries or directors. Those are not in our standing orders. So I agree, Chair, that we now summon, not invite these people, so that we have a serious meeting, even if we meet for 24 hours at a stretch, the way interns work, we will do it. And then when we conclude, we have people sitting there who can make decisions, not going back to another person to seek direction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Madenge.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, the truth of the matter is that Kenyans are suffering. and maybe just to be able to bring this home, before us here, in Nyeri, I have a young man who fell from a tree and could not, actually injured his spine, could not be admitted at the Nyeri PGH. The parents could not be able to raise the deposit required at Madari Mission Hospital, which is the next alternative. Last week, a fundraising was conducted. The money raised was not sufficient for that young man to be operated on, and the family has asked for that young man to be discharged. We are now trying to get him transferred to the spinal injury hospital. The reality is Kenyans are suffering. And the time for bucks passing and grandstanding has to stop. It has to come to an end. And I agree, Chair, that it is not possible for us to continue with this sitting in the absence of the Council of Governors and the Treasury. And also the Ministry, the CS Labor and CS Health Services. Because it is not just about the current stalemate. It is also about us as a nation avoiding finding ourselves in this quagmire again in the future. And the people who are bearing responsibility in ensuring that Kenyans receive the services that they deserve from our government must take their responsibilities seriously. I therefore concur, Chair, that actually we reconvene a next sitting, invoke our standing orders, and summon every of the stakeholders that we needed to attend our sitting. And for the avoidance of doubt, any of them who may have any other activities should shelve them. And in case they do not, then they will face the full force as prescribed in our standing orders. Chair, in the meantime, I want to appeal to our national conscience. That at the end of the day, we may be able to put the money on the table. But what will happen to the injury, lifelong injury that has been suffered by this young man, that may not be reversed? What will happen to the lives of Kenyans who will have died as a result of the withdrawal of medical services? And therefore, Chair, in our next meeting, I implore to all of us to come to the table in utmost good faith and with an open mind so that we can find a solution. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Chair. Just yesterday, a few steps from here, the head of state was speaking with a lot of pride about his decision to introduce the appearance of cabinet secretaries before the whole house of the Senate and the National Assembly. I don't know why no one told him that these CSs are not coming to the houses, because just last week, Chair, you recall we as a Senate were lamenting the absence of Chief Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. He was supposed to appear before the Senate last week. I saw him there yesterday. And one of the speakers was saying it is easier to come when there is a celebration before Parliament, when nobody is asking you questions. How I wish we would have detained those individuals there yesterday so that we have this conversation. Mr. Chair, the disappointment of my colleagues is something that I share. because, first of all, these strikes have been going on for too long. And last week, the Union of Clinical Officers came to the Senate, presented their asks to us, and we had promised them that we would actually invite the chair of the Council of Governors and the chair of the SRC so that we can be in one room and have a conversation. When all the stakeholders are here, some of us can be able to understand why this thing is taking too long and why, if you put everyone here, it might be more difficult for people to shift blame from one institution to the other. That is the purpose of having this meeting. And in their absence, I don't think that is going to be possible, Honorable Chair. There has been an accusation, for instance, an accusation that I wanted to find an answer to, that the government walked out of a meeting on the 27th of March that had been scheduled to discuss these very matters. And when the CS of Health appeared before the Senate, she said they never walked out. So I was hoping both the union to be here, the unions are here, and the CS to be here, so that we find out who's telling the truth. But clearly, from today's demonstration, I can now believe the doctors when they say the government ran away from them. They have run away from the committee. They have run away from Parliament. How else are we supposed to have this conversation? And because they want us to talk to each other through the media, I've been informed that the chair of the Council of Governors is watching these proceedings from a safe place. I want to tell the chair of the Council of Governors that she has lost my support as one of the people who firmly believe in devolution, as one of the people who actually was going to advocate on the floor of the Senate that the position taken by the COG on division of revenue is the right position. I might just switch and start supporting the Treasury position that these governors, they have no respect for any institution and they don't deserve the money they're asking us for. Honorable Chair, how am I going to argue for extra resources for Ann Waiguru? And yet she has no respect for me. She has no respect for the Senate. She has no respect for any of these members of Parliament. I am especially offended because as a young man and a senator of Nairobi, Fridays are not my favorite days to come to work. But I am here, Honorable Chair. That she has chosen to stay away, to run away from me. I want her to know that today she has lost my support. If she sees me on the Senate saying we need to stop even debate on that division of revenue, let them come to the Senate. We will debate that bill when they are seated there, after we finish discussion on this question of doctors. Because, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, when they speak, I saw a cabinet secretary on media speaking about taxpayers' money as if it is his own personal property and telling us for as long as he is there, he will not pay 207,000 to interns, as if it is his money. This money belongs to the people of the Republic of Kenya, and as their representatives, we have powers to allocate that money as and when we please, and in the manner that we think is correct. So, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I understand that parliamentary business has to be prioritized. So when representatives of ministries come here and tell us, oh, somebody is finishing milking her cows, she will come back after she has fed the cows. I mean, that is absolute contempt. Are we supposed to sit somewhere in a corner and wait for them to finish? No, Chairman, let me speak.
Just allow me, you know, that's why there's a chair for a meeting, Senator Sifuna. And this being a house of record, I didn't hear anybody from the ministry saying somebody was finishing milking their cows before. We are all here. Let's just use the correct language. Senator Sifuna, that is, withdraw that statement and proceed.
Chairperson, I think this is a matter of expression. It's a figure of speech. Because whatever it is that they are doing, I equate it to milking your cows in the morning. It is not that important. Somebody else can do it. They should be here, Chairman. So, Mr. Speaker, what I want to do is to agree with my colleagues here, both from the National Assembly and the Senate, that in fact we need to proceed in terms of our standing orders and the Powers and Privileges Act. And members of the National Assembly who are here, we want to beseech you, because we in the Senate had already passed an amendment to the Powers and Privileges Act to enhance the fine for people who don't show up here. Because finding a governor 500,000 shillings we have found is very ineffective. These people are very liquid. Honorable Kiborek, these people have money. Finding somebody 500,000 shillings in today's world is nothing. So we had enhanced the fine to 2 million shillings. We want you to pass that amendment very quickly, Honorable Nyikal. We want powers of arrest. We want Parliament to have powers to arrest people. because I know where Waiguru is. Right now, if I had those powers, I could bring her here. Because I know she's watching. I know where she's watching these proceedings from. Yeah. So, Honorable Chair, with those few remarks, I want to support those who have said that we cannot have a conversation about these matters in the absence of the key stakeholders who are here. And we want them to be in the same room so that all our questions can be answered at once. I was really looking forward to having a meeting where we walk out of this door today and tell the Kenyan public that all the strikes have been called off. But unfortunately, we have to suffer some more because of the contempt that these individuals are showing Parliament. I thank you, Chair.
Honorable Mary Maingi.
Thank you, Chair. I want to associate myself with the sentiments of my colleagues that the absent officers must be summoned. Kenya is in a crisis. People are dying every day, and they'll continue to do so unless we unlock this stalemate. We cannot fix anything in this country if we do not have people, or if we don't have healthy people. It is sad that other people are not taking it as a crisis. We do. And everybody needs to stop the clock to have this unlocked. Those are my view, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair, Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Chair. Let me also add my voice to this. I'm disappointed, Chair. We took this issue seriously, and we did a prompt visit to Kiambu as a Senate committee to see what's going on in the hospital. What we have saw there is just people are suffering. So Kenyans are bleeding. So I'm asking myself, if patients are not there, where are they? Specifically, maternity. I went there. Per day, the women delivery is 30 and 40 above. But now, since the strike, there's none there. So, where are our women? And again, the suffering is women and children, Mr. Chairman. On that, the key agenda of this meeting, of joint meeting, is to listen from COG, which is because 90% health is devolved. And the question we have in our mind, the answer is supposed to be given, supposed to give by COG. Mr. Chair, when they are saying the money is not there, the budget, whatever, Mr. Chair, when they have interest in anything in their budget, there is supplementary, which they normally interfere with their money, their main budget, to sort out what is going on, what is the interest for them. But when it comes to the health sector, the interest for the doctors, the interest for the nurses, they don't have money. So all those questions are supposed to be answered by governors, and unfortunately, they have abandoned. Mr. Chair, there is a letter, this letter is from COG office, but I condemned, because the signature there, because when we write a letter, we write to the COG chair. But the letter is addressed to, it's written by Mary something, and we have not raised a letter to her. So that is even wrong. That is undermining the Senate and the Parliament. So let them take seriously, and I concur with with our members that we have to summon and let people know their responsibility. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, you know, these are a very depressing day for me as a senator, and I believe for all of us, members of Parliament. Kiambu Hospital Chair, you were there. You saw the effect the strike has had on the provision of services to the people who have elected us. And Mr. Chair, we pick a day like this so that we can find a solution to this issue for the benefit of all Kenyans. And then we come to Parliament and all senior officers whom we intended to engage are not here. It's a very unfortunate day for this country. And I want to speak to governors. They are losing the plot on governance. How can 47 governors fail to find time to appear before Parliament, consisting of two houses, to find a solution for a crisis of this nature? Mr. Speaker, devolution was meant to usher servant leadership and not lordship on Kenyans. Chair, we have COG Chair Ann Waiguru. We have the Chair Committee of Health, Governor for Tharaka Nithi. None of them has made any communication to this House. And you know, Chair, maybe we need to remind the country, our CS Health, CS Labor, CS Treasury, the Chair COG, the Chair of Health Committee of Council of Governors, that what we are facing is not a game being watched in a stadium. These are health crises. And unless we find a solution, it still remains a crisis. Any of us can find he or herself in an unfortunate situation where you land into a public hospital. Last year, Chair, we lost an MC who was involved in an accident along Maimaiu. The nearest health facility was Naivasha County Referral Hospital. That's where they were taken. Unfortunately, we lost one. This Friday, in Nyamira, in Nyangoso, we are burying a 62-year-old lady who fell from an avocado tree, was rushed to Nyamira County Referral Hospital. There was no doctor on site. She died. She's being buried today. And yet, we are giving this matter a very casual approach. You can see, Chair, the commitment of all these members of Parliament, because we want value for money for Kenyans. But it seems our governors and our CSS want to derive joy from the suffering of Kenyans. And if it is true, the way Senator Sifuna is putting it, that Chair COG is watching these proceedings from the comfort of our office, I'm telling you, shame on you, Ann Waiguru. Shame on you. And your group of vipers, the way Jesus Christ told the Pharisees. This is a serious matter, Chair. And I want to speak to Dr. Alwoch. You say you have been in practice for 56 years. You are representing Kenya Medical Association of Doctors. If you had powers on a day like this, the 24th of April, 2024, you should issue a communique to all the private hospitals, not to attend to all these governors and members of their families, till we find a solution to this problem. We have been put here by Kenyans who have elected us to serve them. A strike cannot exist from 13th of March, 54 days. And people are not taking the issue seriously. It's not right. So, Chair, I want to agree fully with the sentiments that have been expressed by other members that we cannot proceed unless we have COG on the table, we have Treasury on the table, and maybe the SRC, so that we find a solution that can be long-lasting. And we want to see our public hospitals working. I close with maybe a very sad observation. When you hear a governor saying that interns don't work for us, yet if you go to county hospitals or health facilities in counties, these interns, in quotes, are the doctors who are manning the hospitals. So you cannot pretend to say that you don't know who interns are. They are there in our hospitals. So, Chair, let us make a decision that we issue summons to this, to all the parties who did not attend today. We convene a date. If they don't...
Honorable Kiborek.
Thank you, Chair. This is one of the lowest moments in the Republic of Kenya, Chair. And we are here not to just solve the issue at hand, but for posterity. Chair, all these members here have busy work to do. All these leaders here have serious business to attend, but we deliberately made a decision to come here. It is unfortunate, Chair, that the Council of Governors, led by their chairperson, decided not to come here. Chair, they are the biggest beneficiary of what we are discussing here because the hospitals are basically devolved. And devolution has been a very emotive issue that we should support devolution, but we should not support arrogance in the name of supporting devolution. These governors have become demigods and they want to be worshipped instead of looking forward to build a country which is united, one country inside 47 counties, and they have made a deliberate decision to be small gods somewhere in their villages, they are down there, and to be worshipped. Chair, the biggest thing we lack in this country is patriotism, because this is a moment that we should come together, including the KMPDU, the members of parliament. Thank the ministry, as much as I'm not seeing the CS, I'm seeing the two PSS, meaning to some extent, they are taking this discussion very seriously because the accounting officers are here. But for Council of Governors, Chair, and I want to ask Senate to investigate, because there's a word around that the biggest cost workers in the counties are in the health sector, and they take that leverage to employ their goons in terms of extension officers or, to go around with them. You find a governor moving around with 500 people who are paid by county without work to do, but just to be goons and to be heckling people in functions. And this governor should be investigated thoroughly so that they should go to an extent of sacrificing serious doctors in return of employing their goons to be moving around with them and for their political expediency. Chair, there's a Mogotio proverb which says, if the sun claims superiority over the moon, let it shine at night. Chair, there's a Mogotio proverb which says, when I chair and I repeat, if the sun claims superiority over the moon, let it shine at night. The same Council of Governors will come to us and seek for further addition of revenue. They'll come for us asking for budget. And at the moment when we want to discuss issues, they are claiming superiority. Chair, we want to tell them, shame on you, because these are very sensitive and serious matter. We should be taken serious by each and every stakeholder in this sector. I agree with Sifuna that finding the 500,000 is like, asking them for a cup of coffee. In fact, 2 million, Sifuna is a bit small, should be 5 million. An equivalent maybe 6 months in jail for contempt of this respectable House Chair. Chair, and we should start with Madam Waiguru and Mutomi Njoki, because the two of them are the face of this arrogance, and they seem not to care about people dying. They don't even remit their money to KEMSA, Chair. You get hospitals, they don't have money. You ask KEMSA why they don't supply drugs. They tell you they delay to remit the money for paying for drugs in KEMSA. these governors are actually the worst cohort of governors since we started devolution in 2013. I think the Mandago team was better, Bwana. Mandago, I think maybe we should congratulate you, and we should give you a standing ovation because your team was a bit more sober and serious. But I think this one we elected a bunch of excited, arrogant fellas to be our governors, and they are leading us down the street without even caring that people are dying. But in your wisdom, our two chairs, in your wisdom, you should tell us what to do with this bunch of arrogant governors. Either we starve them the budget, or we can make a painful and emotive decision to return the health back to national government. As much as we are saying, we devolved it for posterity, and the drafters of that constitution, Al Mugeni was part of them, had good intentions. So, and the arrogant people will not be in charge of our counties. They gave them this mandate to oversee our health services. But if they continue with this arrogance, we are left with one option to return. We better deal with one animal called CS and do PSS than dealing with 7 bunch of arrogant fellas down there, which we don't know which one to start with, which one to end with. So, and KMPDU, you should also help us a bit, because you have been putting pressure to us as members of both Parliament and Senate. You have been putting pressure to the ministry. It's time you also divert your pressure to these county governors and these arrogant governors, so that we're able to deal with them. Because we are together with you, we want the solution. As much as we may not agree entirely in what we are putting across, but we agree that we should look for solution as leaders in this country, and we should find a way forward for posterity, not only for this current strike. So I want to say that, Chair, I want to submit that, and I want to also join Omugeni in saying shame on you, Madam Waiguru, shame on you, Governor for Tharaka Nithi, shame on you for the 7 bunch of arrogant governors across this country.
When you are told shame on you is a very dangerous statement. But I am now a senator for avoidance of doubt. Now, having listened to honorable members, before I allow the chair of the National Assembly Committee on Health, we have a seasoned doctor here from KMA. We didn't invite KMA, but on their own volition, decided that this is a matter of national interest and would come. Looking at the years of experience and the white hair, and being African and Africa is our business, we can benefit from the counsel of and wisdom of Elder Dr. Olwoj. So in this whole team, Daktari, I'll allow you at least 4 minutes to make a few comments before I allow the chair of the National Assembly.
We dealt with these issues before. For your information, 5th of November 1971 was the first doctor's strike in Kenya, and I was part of it. And I was collected and thrown into the cells for 3 days. So we had the same experience as they're having now. What I would like to say briefly that this problem is not something new. The exact issues that occurred in 1971 are the same occurring now, 53 years later. It looks like we are not making any effort. What we have here as a crisis, has been said before, is the cause of doctor strike. The doctor strike is not the cause of health crisis. But let's note the MPs and the media hype this idea that people are dying because of strike. A few people die. People die every day in our health hospitals, even doctors or not doctors. But at the moment, of course, there's a little bit excessive suffering, maybe not death. And one of the reasons why they're suffering that there's no bottom line support in the medical practice in the hospital. And the bottom line support in the hospital over the years has been the interns. The interns are the entry point into the hospital that will do the basic investigation and the management of the patient as they come. The interns are actually qualified doctors, and not, as I've been said by some people, some authorities, they're just mere students, and they're not entitled to salary. They do as much work, much more than the senior doctors like me, and they save more lives. So they should be given the salary and the respect they need. At the moment, the doctors as a whole are not treated with the respect they deserve. You talk of welfare of wananchi, but you should also think of welfare of the doctors, because without the welfare of the wananchi, of the doctors, the wananchi will not have the welfare. So we must, and foremost, before even discuss details of CBA with the MPD, we should consider seriously the issue of the intern. There's no point training doctors. They spend 6 years in the university, and then you come and throw them on the streets. They look like beggars. That is not fair. I think it should be automatic that once you qualify as a doctor, and you've got 2 degrees, should give in a salary concomitant with your 2 degrees, as opposed to somebody who's got BA only. And there should be no question about it, that they are employees. They may not have that permanent contract, but they're an employee the moment they enter the hospital, and they should be considered as that and given the due respect they deserve, and not belittled or fear that there are some useless beggars on the street looking for employment. No, they deserve it and they have it. After all, as you all know, whoever you are, wherever you are, you must know that even if health is not everything, everything is nothing without health.
I've had, when you are chairing, more often you'll be able to take the position of your members, because it is the members that make the decisions. Chair do not have a position. You take the position of the members. On behalf of the Committee of Health of the National Assembly, I would want to acknowledge that the 2 PSs for Ministry of Health, that's PS Kimutai for Medical Services and PS Mary Mudhoni for Public Health and Professional Standards, are here. And the CS had actually called me to indicate that as soon as she finishes with the cabinet meeting, she will also be joining them. But that is still not an excuse, because the position is that we expect the CS to be here, so that we all take, because she's the head of the ministry, and therefore all decisions are vested on her. And she's the one to make, once we agree that this is the way to go, then we should be able to go. But as far as the Ministry of Health is concerned, the 2 accounting officers are here. And this Committee of Health is the committee that makes the budget. So anything that once we agree, then with the Treasury and agree with the ministry, then ours as an oversight body will ensure that that reflects in the budget, so that everything that is agreed on can be implemented. I've checked the budget for the Ministry of Health, and I've seen the 2.5 billion is already there in the account from Treasury. But the most important thing is for the ministry and the Council of Governors to negotiate and agree, because all these doctors, the interns we are talking about, they are working in the county governments. Their internship is in level 4, level 5, and some are in the national hospitals, national teaching and referral hospitals, but the bulk of it is within the county governments, and therefore it's important that the Council of Governors, represented by the Chair Council of Governors and the Chair Health should be here before this committee, so that we are able to discuss. It's not just about, I've seen the issues in the CPA, it's not just about the issue of salaries for interns, but also, among other things, the conditions for which they are working. How do we make sure that those conditions are met? And my appeal to both parties is that there is a give and take. Let's not maintain hard standards. Let's look at if we can be able to come to a middle ground and agree so that we can move forward as a country. I want to take the position that my committee has taken, and that is that this meeting will not be able to proceed in view of the fact that the Council of Governors has totally not sent any representation here, not even the Secretariat, not even the person who signed that. So I think having, this meeting has been postponed twice before today for various reasons. And having a joint sitting between the National Assembly and the Senate is not a very easy thing. And it calls for a lot of consultations between the senators and the members of the National Assembly so that we can agree on a date. It's not a very easy thing to convene such a meeting. And therefore, this is an opportunity that they are missing out. But no, everything is not lost. We want to agree with my colleague and with the senators and the members of the National Assembly that we can still give them another chance so that they can appear before this committee. We'll be able to issue summons. My members have resolved that we issue summons. And I want to assure Honorable Sifuna and Honorable Ledama that when your bill on the summons comes to the National Assembly, we will actually raise the figure to 5 million. And we'll be able to make sure that there is arrest and even imprisonment for 6 months so that it becomes a lesson so that we can be able to enforce. We are in agreement with you, and I'm part of the team in the National Assembly that will make sure this will pass. So with those few remarks, my co-chair, I want to hand it back to you.
For members, Secretariat, and the stakeholders who have managed to appear before this joint sitting. Having listened to members as chair and as co-chair, the decision the members have reached, we have no power to overturn. But before we go to that, allow me also to make a few comments as a senator and also a member of the Health Committee before we make the final decision of this joint sitting. That one, having served as a governor myself, and looking at the level of contempt of COG in this very important sitting, I think I now understand why there has always been bad blood between National Assembly and the Senate. And I can now confidently say it's not attributed to anything but the bad behavior of governors towards disease. I now understand why some time back governors wanted not to appear before Senate and parliamentary committees. And they went to the extent of going to go to court. But let me be on record myself as the former governor of Uasin Gishu. I honored all the summons of parliament, except one when I was on paternity leave, and it is my constitutional right. And my deputy governor then appeared before that committee. It is extremely saddening for a whole council of governors made of 47 governors not to find it fit to send representatives, even members of the Health Committee of the Council of Governors, to appear before this. This is not a meeting that is meant to entertain any party. This was a meeting that was meant to bring everybody into a sitting and find a lasting solution to this problem. And you can hear from Dr. Oluoch that these things began in 1971. Probably even a majority of us seated here today and managing health were not born then. It is not excusable for cabinet secretaries not to attend, and I've heard what Senator Sifuna said that the president yesterday indeed made a statement that Cabinet Secretary now appear before Parliament. I think we in Parliament have been lax to invoke the necessary standing orders and powers of government, not only to summon, but actually to indict them and even impeach, so that they can take the seriousness of Parliament and matters of this House very seriously. Because Parliament is the official representative of Kenyans. When we congregate in Parliament, all Kenyans have congregated in Parliament and sent their views through members of Parliament and members of Senate. And it is not necessarily that in that Parliament we also all agree in all the issues. And those are views from Kenyans from all over the country. This strike is a strike that touches on human life. We were in Kiambu County as a Senate Health Committee. And we saw for ourselves that the number of Kenyans visiting the hospitals have declined. We even saw that the patients on the TB program are no longer attending their clinics, and some have moved away from the admission in the hospital, increasing the spread, and we come back to try and manage the situation that we have created. I think that is extremely negligent of the concerned officers to come. I don't think there would be any other meeting that was so crucial than the one that is meant to solve the crisis that we have in health as a country. I have been a proponent of devolution and I support devolution. I have never agreed with members of Parliament and my colleague senators on reverting the health function to national government. But from this, I am 40% persuaded. It's only 10% remaining for me to cross to the other side. Because it would be easier for us to go and look for one CS Nakumicha than try and look for 47 governors who are sitting in the houses. And unfortunately, you know, this is a country now, we are not in the 60s where it is difficult to get information. Even watching the online proceedings of this place and the page, Parliament Live, we can see what the governors who have clicked in, they are following. So please log out so that we don't see you following these proceedings from the comfort of your office or wherever you are. And be serious in the management of health. When counties ask for additional funds, Senate and Parliament, senators are the difficulty of persuading National Assembly sometimes to increase the allocation. It is even worse when we are pending bills for KEMSA, unexplained, arrears running into millions of shillings that have not been paid. Almost 80% of counties owe KEMSA anything from 20 to 200 million. So even if we solve the issue of doctors, what are the governors doing in paying these bills, particularly for KEMSA? So failure of COG to attend this sitting, and all those who are invited, even with the apologies that were received, the decision of this joint sitting, the honorable members of the National Assembly and the Senate, is that this meeting is adjourned and the relevant cabinet secretaries be summoned as per our standing orders. The Council of Governors Chair summoned. The Chair of the Council of Governors Health Committee, Governor Mudomi Njuki, who was a senator, and who has never appeared before the Senate Health Committee anyway, is hereby summoned. The chair of the Public Service Commission, the chair of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, the Cabinet Secretary for Labor, the unions, because they are present here, they are not summoned, but they will be invited. On 2nd of May, 2024, Thursday, 2nd of May, 2024, at 10 a.m. And because of the importance of that meeting and the numbers that we expect, we shall ask the Secretariat and the clerk that that meeting will be at the Senate main chamber at 10 a.m. And it is so ordered. So this meeting stands adjourned.